A year after the end of the third civil war that ravaged the Central African Republic, an uneasy calm reigns in the capital, Bangui. Despite a ceasefire deal in July and the presence of international troops, tensions remain high. At Bangui's main hospital, teams from the NGO Médecins Sans Frontières, or Doctors Without Borders, are on constant alert.
What happened to you?
Someone shot me with a rifle.
Sometimes we get 2 or 3 patients at the same time. It's been rather quiet lately, but we get this kind of patient with firearm and machete wounds every day.
The massacres that followed a coup in March 2013 have left open wounds. The Seleka rebel coalition, with a strong Muslim component, carried out unprecedented atrocities against non-Muslim civilians. Predominantly Christian self-defense militias, the anti-Balaka, had taken over, attacking in turn the Muslim community. What followed was a trail of horror. The conflict killed some 5,000 people and displaced more than 800,000 inside and outside the country. Much of the Muslim community has been pushed to the east, and the country's non-Muslim majority is now concentrated in the west and in the capital. The Mpoko camp for the displaced near Bangui airport took in more than 100,000 people at the height of the conflict. Many went into exile, few were able to return home. Members of Bangui's non-Muslim communities, they fled the attacks of the former Seleka.
Houses were destroyed, burned, people were robbed. The 20,000 displaced people here at the Mpoko camp have no roof, no shelter. They suffer, they have nothing. That's what prevents them from returning home, as well as the ongoing insecurity in the country. We can't leave because of the insecurity. Once it's safe and there's disarmament, I'll go home.
There's great concern in the Mpoko camp, which the government wants to move. Food distributions have stopped and living conditions are harsh. The hospital set up by MSF provides rare support. We travelled to the west, a region where 90% of the Muslim population was scared away by the anti-Balaka militias in the wake of massacres carried out by the Seleka. Those who remain have taken refuge in rare enclaves protected by the UN force in the Central African Republic. In the town of Kano, some 600 Muslims shelter in a church. They've been waiting for months to be able to return home. They can't venture too far outside for fear of being attacked. The mayor of Kano strives to restore calm in the city, together with the leaders of other communities and the anti-Balaka. A few dozen meters from the church, the homes of displaced Muslims have been occupied. A precaution against looters and arsonists, says the mayor.
We did everything to keep these buildings with the help of the Council of Elders and the religious leaders. These houses are private property. Even if the owners are not there, we must protect them always until there's reconciliation.
That is something many long for, with economic activity at a standstill. And the health situation has never been worse. Here, like everywhere in the country, MSF is acting as a substitute for the failing public health services. Malaria, respiratory infections and AIDS are the daily realities of the hospital in Kano. And child malnutrition cases are rising.
During the conflict, we received less because the parents were on the move. Others were in the forest, others sought to hide. With everything going on, they weren't allowed to grow their crops, so the children don't have enough to eat. And since the lull, we receive more and more cases.
The poverty contrasts with the mineral wealth of the region, which depended largely on the diamond industry. Despite an international embargo, the export of Central African gems continues to the benefit of all kinds of traffickers. And crime is widespread. On the road that goes from the west to the Cameroon border, commercial and humanitarian convoys are often looted. We arrived without incident at Berberati, the second largest city in the Central African Republic. Here too, life is precarious and health needs are huge.
Today, people come a lot more to the hospital because we provide free health care. But before that, when it wasn't free, they preferred traditional treatments at home. You see, since it's for free, children come much more to the hospital, otherwise they wouldn't come.
Médecins Sans Frontières supports health centres scattered throughout the city, like here in the Poto neighbourhood. There are fewer patients since the Muslim community was forced out, their homes and mosques destroyed. This was the response to the massacres carried out by the Seleka against non-Muslim civilians. The head of the health centre says a return to coexistence is hard to imagine.
The people who live here now are those who didn't have a home. As the former residents left, they came to occupy the houses, and others have just seized the opportunity to go on the rampage.
We meet those who claim to be the neighbourhood's anti-Balaka vigilantes, a group of idle youths, many with eyes blurred by alcohol and drugs. They say the crimes committed by the ex-Seleka are unforgivable.
I will slaughter them like this, the head like that. Me, I'm uncontrollable. I destroyed the house of Muslims there. When you seek death, we give you death. If I find a Muslim, I'll kill him.
The church of Berberati is where the 350 Muslims who remain in the city fled to. It's impossible for them to venture more than 200 metres from the gate, as attacks are frequent. Despite being threatened, the bishop and his team are determined to protect their guests and work hard to advocate reconciliation.
This is a political conflict. They use the pretext of religion as a cover-up, that's all. Before that, communities never clashed. We strive to make clear that all must have the freedom to move. But this message has not yet been heard by some of those who control the situation. This is what pains us. But we are not discouraged. We are not discouraged.
Fear remains high. Abdur Rahman arrived here a few days before we met him. Hidden in the bush for months, he was attacked with machetes after he tried to go back to his decimated village. But behind his distress, there is still hope.
We Central Africans, Christians and Muslims, we are one people. We're the same. It's the devil who came between us. We, together we sleep together, Muslims and Christians. It's the politicians who do us wrong. But we will achieve reconciliation.